Amid the towering skyscrapers of New York, one woman has seen everything, but no one has seen her. Rosa Carter, the unnoticed janitor, holds a secret powerful enough to bring down an empire. And tonight, she's ready to strike. In the bustling core of New York City, the towering Lexington Corp skyscraper stood as a symbol of financial dominance, admired on the outside, but within, its hallways were steeped in cold ambition and ruthless competition. At the heart of this corporate world was someone invisible, yet ever present. Rosa Carter, the janitor. With her brown eyes hidden beneath the brim of her cap and her grey cleaning uniform acting as a shield, Rosa was often overlooked. She moved through the building like a shadow, cleaning executive offices, wiping down conference tables and emptying trash cans without anyone noticing her presence. To the high-powered executives in tailored suits, she was just a fixture of the office, blending seamlessly into the background. But Rosa saw them all, and more importantly, she listened. For a decade, Rosa had silently observed Lexington's inner workings. She had witnessed backroom deals that ruined careers, promotions handed to the undeserving, and power plays that shattered livelihoods. The company's ruthless CEO, Daniel Vance, often brushed past her with a condescending smirk, a man drunk on the belief that he was untouchable. The day that changed everything began like any other. Rosa arrived early, her cart of cleaning supplies rattling softly as she navigated the lobby. The scent of freshly brewed coffee hung in the air, and executives buzzed about quarterly earnings and upcoming projects. As she polished the glass doors leading to the boardroom, her ears caught a snippet of conversation. "Shareholders' meetings next week," a confident voice declared. "Vance won't face any opposition. The board's in his pocket." Rosa paused for just a moment, her hand resting on the glass. They thought Vance was untouchable, but Rosa knew the truth. She resumed her work, her face calm and steady. No one knew that the woman they ignored held a secret powerful enough to unravel the company from within. And today, she decided, the unraveling would begin. Rosa's secret wasn't something she had stumbled upon overnight. It was the result of years of quiet preparation. Her late husband, Eric Carter, had been an early investor in Lexington Corp when it was just a fledgling startup. By the time of his sudden death, his modest investment had grown into a significant controlling stake in the company, something Rosa didn't fully grasp at first. For a while, she didn't know what to do with it. She wasn't a businesswoman, just a widow raising 2 teenagers while navigating a world without her partner. But life had taught her resilience. Slowly but surely, she learned the value of her position. What others saw as invisibility, Rosa realized was her greatest strength. She could observe without suspicion, gather secrets others believed she would never understand, and uncover truths buried beneath boardroom arrogance. In her small apartment in Queens, late nights became her allies. She pored over financial reports, meeting minutes, and confidential documents. She uncovered unethical bonuses given to executives while lower-tier employees were denied raises. She found evidence of whistleblowers being silenced, projects sabotaged, and scandals swept under the rug. But Rosa wasn't just collecting information for the sake of knowing. She was waiting for the right moment to strike. And that moment was close. The upcoming shareholders' meeting would give her the platform she needed to expose it all. With Vance's arrogance growing unchecked, he had no idea how carefully Rosa had positioned herself for this. She had allies, an old friend who was a lawyer, a former Lexington employee who had left on bad terms, and a financial analyst skilled in corporate law. Together, they had built a bulletproof case. That evening, Rosa sat at her kitchen table, her eyes scanning the final pages of evidence as the glow of the city filtered through her window. Her fingers traced over the key details she would present. She knew the stakes were high, but the time for patience was over. She picked up her phone and dialed a number. "Is everything ready?" she asked. "More than ready," the voice on the other end replied. Rosa exhaled. "Good. This ends next week." The voice chuckled softly. "You've waited a long time for this." "Too long," she replied. Her voice was steady, fueled by determination. As she hung up, Rosa leaned back and stared at the ceiling, allowing herself a brief moment of reflection. Everything she had endured, being overlooked, disrespected and dismissed, had brought her to this moment. No longer the janitor in the background, she was now the silent force that would change everything. The morning of the shareholders' meeting arrived shrouded in deceptive calm. The golden light of sunrise bathed Manhattan's skyline, casting long shadows against Lexington Corp's towering glass exterior. Inside, however, anticipation crackled in the air. Executives strolled through the hallways with confidence, exchanging pleasantries as if their victory was already secured. Rosa entered through the side entrance as she always did, her cleaning cart rolling quietly behind her. Clad in her grey uniform, she was invisible as usual. But today her heart beat with a steady purpose. She wasn't just a janitor blending into the background anymore. Today she was the architect of change. Her allies were already in position. The lawyer sat quietly in the back of the meeting room, ready to provide legal support. The financial analyst had supplied detailed statements Rosa would rely on. Everything had been meticulously planned, leaving no room for error. When she reached the executive boardroom on the top floor, Rosa paused, taking a deep breath before opening the door. Inside, the room buzzed with the hum of powerful voices. Daniel Vance sat at the head of the table, his tailored suit immaculate, a smirk playing at the corners of his mouth. To him, this meeting was just another chance to flex his control. "All right," Vance said, tapping the table to command the room's attention. "Let's get this done quickly. I have a flight to catch this afternoon." Rosa entered quietly, carrying a tray with a pitcher of water and glasses. No one paid her any attention, as expected. She calmly placed the tray on the table and began organizing the room, her movements calculated and deliberate. Just as she was about to leave, Rosa stopped. "Excuse me," she said, her voice cutting through the noise like a blade. All heads turned, some faces registering annoyance, others confusion. Vance barely glanced at her. "We're in the middle of a meeting," he said dismissively. "If you need to clean, do it later." Rosa didn't move. Her gaze locked with Vance's, and something in her eyes made him pause. "I'm not here to clean," she said, walking back toward the table and placing a thick folder in front of him. The cover bore the Lexington Corp logo, along with the words, "Internal Review Report." Vance's smirk faded. "What's this?" he asked, flipping the folder open. "Proof," Rosa replied. "Proof of unethical practices, financial mismanagement, and employee mistreatment under your leadership." The board members leaned in, curiosity and concern etched across their faces as whispers filled the room. Vance's fingers trembled slightly as he flipped through the pages of detailed evidence, inflated bonuses, falsified reports, and buried complaints. "I don't know what game you're playing," Vance said, his voice thick with condescension. "You have no authority to be here." Rosa smiled, a calm but powerful gesture. "Actually, I do. I'm the majority shareholder of Lexington Corporation." The room fell silent. Vance's eyes widened, and the color drained from his face as he processed the weight of her words. "You?" one board member asked in disbelief. "Yes," Rosa confirmed. "I've watched everything you tried to hide. And today, I'm making sure it all comes to light." Vance's composure cracked. "You can't do this. This is my company." "No, Daniel," Rosa said, her voice as steady as steel. "It's mine. And today, I'm voting to remove you as CEO." Rosa's words landed like a thunderclap, and for a moment, the room was frozen in stunned silence. Daniel Vance, the once untouchable CEO, sat paralyzed as reality crashed down around him. The silence was broken by a board member clearing his throat. "If even half of what's in this folder is true," he said, flipping through the documents, "we have a legal responsibility to act." Vance's chair scraped loudly against the floor as he shot to his feet, his voice booming with fury. "This is absurd. She's just a janitor. She doesn't understand how this business works." Rosa stood her ground, calm and composed. "I understand more than you think," she said. "For years, I've watched from the sidelines as you tore this company apart, discarding employees, covering up scandals, and padding your pockets. I've seen the consequences of your decisions. But today, you'll face them." Her gaze swept across the room, locking eyes with each board member in turn. You can ignore me, like you always have, and let this company continue rotting from within. Or you can do something about it. Vance slammed his fists on the table. This is a coup. You're trying to humiliate me. No, Daniel, Rosa replied coolly. This is accountability. The lawyer Rosa had brought with her rose from his seat at the back of the room. The evidence provided meets the criteria for a vote of no confidence. As per corporate policy, the board has full authority to act. Chaos erupted. Board members whispered frantically, flipping through the damning evidence while stealing glances at Vance. His usual composure had disintegrated, and the cracks were beginning to show. You think you've won? He spat at Rosa, leaning forward. I built this company. Without me, it's nothing. Rosa tilted her head slightly, considering his words. You built this company by exploiting people who believed in it. But you're right about one thing. It will be different without you. It will be better. The room fell silent as a senior board member finally spoke up. I motioned to hold a vote of no confidence. Hands slowly raised around the table, one after another, until the majority was clear. The decision was final. Vance stumbled back into his chair, pale and shaken. You can't do this, he muttered, as if trying to convince himself. But it was done. Security was called to escort him from the building. He struggled, throwing curses and threats, but the once mighty CEO was dragged away like a king stripped of his crown. As the doors closed behind him, the room exhaled as if it had been holding its breath. A board member turned to Rosa, their gaze filled with awe and guilt. We underestimated you, they admitted softly. I know, Rosa said, her voice gentle but firm. But that's over now. She stepped forward, her hands resting confidently on the table. This company doesn't need another dictator. It needs leadership that values its people. I'm not here to take over, but I am here to make sure the next leader knows what this company should stand for. The room nodded in quiet agreement. Rosa's resolve didn't waver. We have a lot of work to do. The next morning, news of Daniel Vance's removal spread like wildfire throughout the company. By the time Rosa arrived, employees were huddled in break rooms, whispering about the woman they had overlooked for years. How could it be her? The janitor. Really? I heard she owns the majority of the company. She fired Vance in front of everyone. But this time, the whispers carried a tone of admiration, not dismissal. Rosa didn't enter the building with her usual cleaning cart. Today she carried a clipboard and a folder of plans designed to rebuild the company from the inside out. Her first stop was the Human Resources Department, where she met with the director, a woman who had long been sidelined under Vance's leadership. It's time we fix the damage, Rosa said. Together they reviewed lists of employees who had been unfairly laid off or denied promotions. Rosa ordered that they be contacted immediately. Raises and back pay were to be issued, starting with the underappreciated cleaning staff, maintenance workers, and junior employees who had carried the company on their backs without recognition. By noon, her presence was already being felt. The payroll department had begun processing wage increases, and an internal review of ignored harassment complaints was underway. Rosa also insisted on bringing in a third-party ethics committee to ensure transparency and accountability moving forward. In the afternoon, Rosa convened a meeting with the remaining executives. They sat stiffly across the table, no longer dismissing her as the janitor they had once ignored. This isn't just about removing Vance, Rosa began. It's about rebuilding a culture of respect. For years, this company operated on fear and greed. That ends now. An executive hesitantly raised their hand. What exactly do you propose? Accountability, Rosa said without hesitation. We will hold regular town hall meetings to give employees a voice. Anonymous feedback channels will be implemented, and anyone caught engaging in unethical behavior will face consequences, no exceptions. Another executive spoke up. And the board, they've been complicit in this. They will be held accountable too, Rosa said firmly. No more backdoor deals. If anyone steps out of line, they'll answer for it. The room grew silent as the executives realized how serious she was. Rosa wasn't here to play politics. She was here to change the company's future. That evening, Rosa hosted the first company-wide town hall meeting. The cafeteria was packed with employees from every level: custodians, interns, assistants, and managers. They all watched as Rosa stood before them, no longer invisible but a symbol of hope. "I know what it feels like to be ignored," Rosa began, her voice steady but warm. "I know what it's like to work hard and go unnoticed. But starting today, that changes. Your voices will be heard. This company will succeed not because of fear, but because of respect." A wave of applause spread across the room, growing louder as the employees realized that change was real. Rosa's smile softened as she continued. "We're building something better. It won't happen overnight, but together we will rebuild this company with integrity and fairness. And when we do, we won't just be known for our profits. We'll be known for how we treat our people." In the crowd, Rosa noticed a young intern who had once spilled coffee outside Daniel Vance's office. The intern raised their hand hesitantly, and Rosa nodded for them to speak. "Thank you," they said, their voice trembling with emotion. "You've given us something to believe in again." Rosa's chest swelled with pride, but she kept her composure. "No," she replied. "We're doing this together. All of us." As the meeting concluded and employees filtered out, Rosa lingered for a moment, taking in the energy of the room. The faces around her were no longer filled with dread, but with renewed hope. She stepped outside into the cool evening air. The Lexington Corp building shimmered in the twilight, but tonight it didn't feel like a fortress of fear. It felt like a place of possibilities. Her phone buzzed in her pocket, and she smiled when she saw the message from her lawyer. "The transition of leadership is officially complete." Slipping her phone back into her pocket, Rosa took a deep breath. This wasn't the end of her journey. It was only the beginning. With renewed purpose, she walked down the street, the hum of the city surrounding her. Life had underestimated her for too long, but she had proven that even the quietest observer could be the loudest force for change. And now she was ready to lead. Not from the shadows, but from the forefront. If you love stories filled with mystery, suspense, and unexpected twists, you're in the right place. Don't miss out. Like, share, and subscribe to stay updated with thrilling narratives that will keep you on the edge of your seat.